Tell the truth. Tell the truth.
You are listening to Information Man. Please make sure to subscribe to his channel. Information is power.
Tell the truth. Tell the truth.
Okay, everybody, this is the Information Man. I'm doing something different today. I have a presentation related to homelessness, the homeless issue that's going on. Let me turn my volumes up a little bit. The homeless problem that is happening in Los Angeles, California. I recently did a pre-produced video with a brother by the name of Real Aaron Collins. He's a YouTuber as well. And so what I'm going to do in just a moment is that I'm going to share my screen so that you can see the presentation when I interviewed Real Aaron Collins. This is a brother who lives in Los Angeles. He works in film. He was himself homeless at one point in time. And so I'm going to be interviewing him at the ground level. I appreciate those that are coming into the chat room. Brother Adubian, we've got Water Sniper, Reloaded Peace, to those of you in the YouTube family. I'm also broadcasting very special tonight because this is also being broadcast live on Twitter and Periscope. So the folks that are listening to me out there in Periscope, peace to you. I think we have, what's going on, sister? Let me see right here. Sister, thank you for being here. So you can hear this broadcast on Twitter live right now. My Twitter handle is @Clinton06, @Clinton06. And those of you that are listening right now in YouTube, peace for coming through. George Frazier. We got my man RLCTV. Thank you for coming through. You can also listen to, I already uploaded this on some of my podcasting platforms such as Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts. This will, at some point in time, will be loaded up on those platforms to be heard in the podcasting rounds. So I want to thank everybody that is listening to me. I know this is a few days before you go into this thing we call Christmas. I know people are with their family, their holiday time. It's raining pretty nasty out here in California where I'm at. And the weather is getting cold all across the country. And when you think about that, we got to think about how it affects Black men in particular and Black people in general when it comes to homelessness, because in Los Angeles, California, Black people are paying a heavy price as it relates to homelessness in the Skid Row area of Los Angeles, California, City of Angels, it's been called. What I want to do to everybody coming, what's going on, Old Reliable and Little Rock 2517, thank you for coming in. We got Blogger, hello, brothers, and hello, everyone. She's saying hello to everybody out there again who's listening in YouTube, listening right now live on Twitter, on my Twitter handle, which is at Clinton06, at Clinton06. And those of you listening live right now in Periscope, thank you for coming in and supporting. We've got Sister J Dunn who's come in the house. I appreciate you being here. I will most of the night be in the chat room with you, writing and responding to some of your comments, because I'm about to load up this pre-produced video interview with the real Aaron Collins as it relates to the homeless crisis issue in Los Angeles, and it's impacting Black people big time, and it's definitely impacting, my God, it's hurting a lot of our people big time in these areas. Let me read something to you real quick before I get into the presentation. I hope you all are doing fine on this Sunday evening. Let me bring up this, I want to read something to you all before we get into the presentation, because I think it's relevant to what you're about to hear in just a moment. And I thank you all that are here listening. This is a very important statement right here. 40% of the 70,000 on the streets of Los Angeles, California, are Black. 85% of the 7,000 on Skid Row are Black. 8% of the residents of Los Angeles, California, are Black. It's time this issue is properly addressed and called out and made properly, because a lot of these Black folks in Los Angeles and in this condition, they're ADOS, okay? They are descendants of slaves as far as the ADOS moniker is concerned. And you've got many of these Black politicians, Maxine Waters. This is an issue that they're not addressing, although they tend to address the DACA issue. So with that said, and peace to the sister that's listening to me right now in Periscope, and those of you that are in the chat room, and those of you that are listening live, I'm going to say it again, listening to me live on Twitter live right now. And we got my man, Mr. Male Advice. I want to thank you for being here, brother. And the lady, the B lady, thank you for coming in, sister B lady, and queen, I know I am. The B lady, I still got to interview you, so I'm going to try again to send you an email. Brother Aduvian, I really appreciate. Maxine Waters is in these areas. She needs to be on the forget Trump. Yeah, let me say something to you all real quick before I get into this presentation. Don't be fooled by this whole impeachment. Just because he's been impeached doesn't mean he's out of office. The Republicans control complete 3/3 of the government. This is about the courts. If you look at while he's being impeached, Mitch McConnell, that despicable clown, he's been pushing forth these conservative judges. They're trying to load up the judges on the federal courts, the lower courts, so that they can push the agenda to get rid of civil rights laws and various laws and things that could benefit Black people in this country. And overall, this is the agenda. And this is why they're not going to vote Trump out. The Senate is loaded with all Republicans. They're not voting him out, no matter what Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats do, no matter how long she holds on the documents and makes the rules for the trial. The Republicans have already told you they're not going to vote him out. And Donald Trump has already told you who he was when he ran for election. That's why I laugh and gawk at this Christian Today article criticizing and saying that he's not being moral, but yet they supported him when he was that same immoral candidate. And while we're focusing on the Donald Trumps of the world and all this other nonsense, nobody's talking about what's really happening on ground level as it relates to Black people and homelessness. While we're talking about DACA and people who sneak over here illegally and impact Black people as it relates to, and I'm going to tell it and shame the devil, as it relates to what? It relates to the impact that immigration, illegal immigration particularly, has on Black people, and especially in areas like Los Angeles, where you have Black people being impacted by the gang structures that are coming over from across that border. So I don't want to tell it all right now, because the interview I did with Real Aaron Collins is going to put it all in a crescendo, in a nutshell. I'll be in the chat room tonight talking with you all as you listen to this pre-produced video. I see we got Miss Mohawk Aborigine, glad to see you here. Haven't seen you in a while, but sister, glad to have you on board. Don't go anywhere. And then we got the sister. She says, God bless you for highlighting this issue. Thank you. That's one of the sisters that's in the, and I got to look at her name properly. That's in Periscope, watching me in Periscope Live right now. And I think those that are watching on Twitter Live, thank you for being here. So with that said, let's begin the first step of the presentation. And the first step is for me to put the avatar picture of the brother on, because this is the actual brother that you're going to hear speaking. He puts it where the goats can get it.
Like, wow, you know, and I honestly feel what Donald Trump did about the wall, he is correct about that. Like, if you come over that wall illegally, which is a law, if I go to the store and steal something, they're gonna lock me up. But if you come over the wall, you should be locked because you're doing something illegal. It's not legal that you come over all of me, okay, everything's fine. You know the chance you was taking when you crossed that wall, so why not accept the punishment that comes along with it? I had to accept the punishment when I did those 7 years. I had to accept that. So what makes you so unique that you have to tell me you got something? No, you know something with for the job position for us, like, you know what I'm saying, the Black people who need a job, not just only saying Black people, we have legalized in this country to have those jobs, and not the illegal ones have it. Right. I'm just being real. You know.
Yeah,
something Donald Trump did do is right. You know.
I think the politicians are too focused on not helping Americans, especially American, and helping people here illegally with services and benefits when they're not helping American homeless people like yourself with services and benefits.
You would more so help another country, build that country more so to help the United States when we are in your backyard. And it's like, I want people in my backyard to be more comfortable because they help the United States more so than someone in another country at all. You know what I'm saying? It's like, what they call, I forgot what they call it. They have people that go over there, they have the wars and tear them people's country up. They have people from the United States to go over there and rebuild them. They pay them people a substantial amount of money, $100,000 just to be a construction worker. But that here and all that, but it's a lot of.
Okay, someone said that the audio wasn't that clear. Let me summarize what the brother was basically saying. Basically, he's homeless. He's on Skid Row. He's basically saying that here I am, a citizen of this country. I've been in jail. I did 7 years in jail. He said that if I was to go to a 7-Eleven or a convenience store and break into that store and rob that store, that I would certainly have to pay the price meaning that I would go to jail or do some time. He says, why is it that people who come from across the border, who break the law, are given some type of special privilege that they should be able to stay here? They should be able to be in our system and benefit from the system, when he is a black man, like many out there in Skid Row, who are citizens of this country, probably fought in wars, okay, have probably paid taxes in their life, and they will pay the price when they break the law. So that's the point that the brother was making. So what I want to do is go on to the next part of the presentation, and that is the interview with the real Aaron Collins around this issue. And once again, I want to thank you all for being here, folks, again. Hey, Aaron, I don't know if you could hear that, but the brother was saying there's a brother, he's homeless in the Los Angeles area. And the brother was basically saying that, they need to do something to take care of the homeless. They're too busy worrying about other countries, helping other people out in other countries. They're involved in DACA and trying to help people who come over here illegally. You got people out there in the streets protesting for that, but you don't see the same protest for people that are homeless, that are born here, who probably have been in the military. You got a lot of people out there that are homeless that were in the military veterans, people that had families, people who have fallen on hard times, people that struggle with mental health issues. And I'm not saying that there's not homeless activists out there that are doing the damn thing every day. They're certainly out there, but I just don't think personally that there's a call to action. I mean, this homeless problem in this country has been going on for a long time. I agree with it. It's a very difficult situation. You gotta do more than just put money at it. There's economics, there's social, there's medicine, there's trying to get people back their dignity. And I don't know if America has that protocol, that heart
Thank
to do
you
that.
for the super chat.
The NAACP was in court fighting over DACA, while you had Byron Allen fighting over the 1866 Civil Rights Act, as it relates to contracts and black businesses getting advertising dollars. But the NAACP, where are they at? Why are they not talking about the homeless problem, on top of that being a black homeless problem in Los Angeles? Why are they not championing that, but they're championing DACA? And so with that said, here is the real Aaron Collins. Brother, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, Implement. How's the audience doing?
Oh, thanks. I think everybody's going to enjoy and definitely get something out of this podcast. I want to know, brother, from you, what are your thoughts? What do you think is going on here?
Well, everything you said is actually correct. I was barely able to hear the other brother, but since you mentioned what he's going through, from what I see, they're constantly building up new condos and things in LA, all across LA, particularly in downtown and the Hollywood area. And the rents are seemingly going up. And when I walk around some areas, it's like I'm seeing more and more tent cities. And not to mention, mental health is pretty much on the rise here. There's a mental health issue, and I mean, I see it literally right in front of me on buses and stuff. Matter of fact, I was watching the news, and the mental health has gotten so out of hand that an incident happened in Hollywood, right on the Walk of Fame, that a black man, unfortunately, was dealing with some issues. He snatched this woman out of a car and then dumped a bucket of his own feces on her.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
wow.
This happened. And right in the central district of the entertainment capital, right by the Stars. And this tells you what we're dealing with here. I mean, like I said before, people come here from worldwide to see the stars and the beach, and which is nothing wrong with it because it's a tourist area. But there's also another side of the city that they choose not to see, and it's a growing homeless problem.
Right. Wow. Let me ask you a question. brother, you were yourself homeless. Can you give us a little detail as to what your circumstance was? I know you were originally from Chicago. I know that you are a filmmaker. Like a lot of people come to Los Angeles for dreams to make it big, to make it in the motion picture business, Hollywood, you know. And what happened that put you in a situation? Because I'm gonna be 100% honest. We're all 1 to 2 paychecks away from being homeless. So people who have jobs, I have a job, you know, people who are gainfully employed, who have master's degrees, BA degrees, it doesn't matter. We can all find ourselves on hard times. We could lose our jobs. We know that in 2008, 2011, 9, the economy got hit very heavily, very hard. And a lot of people ended up losing their homes, their shirts off their back. And I was lucky enough that working with the state that I was able to maintain employment, or I could have been one of those people heavily impacted. I know, for example, brother, when I went through my divorce and I did a short sale on my home because the market was so bad that my home lost a lot of value because people who lived around me were losing their homes. So human life in this society, in this economic society that we're in, that's driven, is very fragile. So with that said, brother, what were the circumstances, if you feel comfortable talking about that? What got you, or what put you in the unfortunate circumstance?
I do remember that the recession of 08, and now they asked me what happened. Well, the rent situation, you know, wasn't able to help out. You know, roommates weren't able to you know, keep up with the place, and wound up having to go into a shelter situation again. It's not the first time I've experienced it. And it had a lot to do with also the amount of time that I worked, and as how much I worked and stuff like that. You know, the seldomness that was often as I worked and all. So that was pretty much what happened with me.
Okay.
You know, and there's never drugs or alcohol, nothing like that.
Okay. Now, what's going on? Why, in your estimate, in your experience, why are Black men in particular being hit very hard in Los Angeles? That's one question, 2-part question. Let's answer that question first, and then I got the second question, which will be, and why is it that it appears like no one is doing anything about it from the government level? You know, you got Maxine Waters, you got all these Black politicians, mayors, and all these different folks over the years that have been that are part of Los Angeles culture. But there's a skid row, but yet what efforts have been made to clean this skid row up? But with that said, let's take one question at a time. What is it, in your opinion, your estimate, why Black men in particular in Los Angeles are being hit very hard as it relates to homelessness?
Well, I believe it's as something you said before, which makes a lot of sense, that the voices and the cries of Black men largely go ignored and unheard. Right. And I've even said this myself, that Black men were still basically the boogeymen of society. It's like 1 minute we're over sexualized, the next minute everyone's scared the hell of us.
Right.
And then they don't take they don't take us seriously. And we're still pretty much a feared class in this society, and they will much rather do away with us, hence the high incarceration rate, and not help us at all, and let us just waste away.
Wow. Wow. How much of it, now we know that there's a lot of issues around mental health. That's another issue that the society doesn't deal with. We're going to touch on that. Now, what about the politicians, particularly the black politicians? Because you have, as I mentioned before in there, you've got a large percentage of black people who are being hit hard with homelessness in the Los Angeles area. Have you heard anything from any of these black politicians, whether the national or locally? You know, we're talking about people that are aldermen, or, you know, I know in Chicago where you're from, they have what they call aldermen, you know, people who represent certain districts and stuff like that. I don't know what they call it in LA, but what's going on?
As far as black politicians are concerned, I'm gonna just put it up front, direct. I don't trust none of them. And Maxine Waters, well, the jury's really out on her as far as I'm concerned.
Right.
Because in her own, I think she's originally from South Central, and it doesn't look like she's done anything remotely even close to help as far as there. And I mean, I just don't see anything happening.
Wow.
I don't see it.
Hey, Aaron, I just realized something, brother. This is what we're going to do. We're going to continue this, though, where we are. But I'm going to tell you right now, I underestimated how powerful this particular conversation with you is. And so I'm going to have to do this, brother. We're going to go live, not tonight, but I think on my first channel. This is being recorded as unlisted for the second channel. But I think for the purpose of the first channel, I'm going to bring you back live in this fashion and style, because I'm realizing this conversation and what you're saying is too powerful. I need to bring it to the first channel as well. So I want to tell you, be prepared for us to do this live on the first channel sometime within next week. And I probably will be asking you some of the similar questions. So be prepared for that.
No problem.
For more follow-up on this issue. So, because I'm not going to keep you too late tonight, brother. We're going to do this for about a full hour or so, just to get some framework. And just so everybody knows out there, this is the platforms that you can hear the podcast on. That this particular podcast that myself, Information Man Show, or Information Man Podcast, because I have a first channel called Information Man Show. So make sure you check that out on YouTube. I have the podcasting channel, Information Man Speaks Podcast, which is the second channel. And these are some of the platforms you can hear me on, folks.
The Information Man podcast can be heard on 9 major platforms, on the second YouTube channel as well, Information Man Speaks Podcast. Spotify, Anchor, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Podbean, Castbox, SoundCloud, and finally, Spreaker.
Okay. So those are the platforms, everybody, that I'm on. Go over there, check them out. This particular episode will be loaded up at some point very soon. So I'm speaking with the real Aaron Collins. The brother is a YouTuber himself. Aaron, before we continue on, and I should have done this from the very beginning, introduce yourself to everybody out there, because there are a lot of people that are listening to me in those particular platforms on the podcast level who may need to know some details. So let everybody know about your YouTube channel, where they can find you, any of your social media. You know what to do, brother. Go right ahead. Floor is yours.
Yeah, no problem. I appreciate it. Yeah, so my name is Aaron Collins. I go by the real Aaron Collins on YouTube. I talk about different issues. I'm also, you can find me on Instagram. I believe it's for my own Instagram, but I think it's Aaron Collins at Gmail. Oh, Aaron Collins 27 on Gmail. Yeah, Aaron Collins 27, the number 27. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Facebook. I believe I'm even on Snapchat too. I believe in utilizing all the social media networks. Social media, it's nothing wrong with it. It's what you do with it that makes it. People really are funny. Like, oh, I don't use social media. Why not? It's a form of communication.
Yeah, right. Now, I think that social media is a great thing. It's a powerful thing if used correctly. I think there is a lot of social media out there that's not used correctly. And I think, unfortunately, YouTube gets a bad rap because, there's a lot of stuff on YouTube that's sort of ratchet, people arguing back and forth with each other, non-constructive conversations sometimes, people arguing with each other thousands of miles away from each other, trying to convince each other of each other's philosophies. Doesn't make any sense. And we have the whole, I was going to do a show about ADOS, and I'm going to postpone that to maybe tomorrow or another day. But, you see what's going on right now within the movement. You got ADOS, you got Tariq Nasheed, who's got the foundational, Black people. And there seems to be some rift going on with them and him and Tone Talks and Yvette. And I just think that
I heard about that.
Personally, I think it's not constructive. I mean, they need to listen to the forefathers like a Neely Fuller Jr., who says, if you cannot have constructive conversations with Black people, with your own people, then you need not to have conversation at all. And so, it disturbs me when people talk about the ancestors, the Malcolm X's, the Dr. Kings, and all the people who laid a foundation for us, and we're not even following the foundation that was laid. In some cases, not in all.
Basically what you said with the rift between these organizations, I look at it, it's a phrase that I coined. It's basically a bunch of conscious gangbanging.
Right. But the thing that's sad about it too, brother Aaron, is that while we're arguing over these philosophies of how we're going to get reparations and how we're going to unify, at the same time, look what's happening in Los Angeles. You got Black folks homeless out there. So that's a waste of time to be arguing over all these philosophical differences when Black people are really suffering. Certainly there are Black people that are doing well, that are middle class. You got Black men that have moved into 2.5 million as far as the upper middle class. But wait a minute, there's still Black men and Black women and children out here who are also suffering. And so we can't afford to be arguing over philosophical differences when we got real things happening on the streets. Then I just got to keep that 100% real, like this issue of homelessness in Los Angeles. Now, you said some things. You said the politicians are not really paying much attention to it. I almost feel like they've made Skid Row sort of like a tourist attraction. Is that the feeling that you get down there? What's going on?
I don't wouldn't say it's necessarily a tourist attraction, but it is a different world.
Okay.
Altogether. And when I see it, it's like it's necessarily not like a tourist attraction. It's more almost like it's kind of like a human zoo, so to speak.
Okay.
The way people behave down there, and I mean, some of the stuff that I've seen will literally make your stomach turn.
Okay, so I must have given. Well, I guess what I just said, Aaron, was polite compared to what you said. You said a zoo. I gave a polite. I said, wow. So now let me ask you this question. Do you think that homelessness has increased in Los Angeles? These are obvious reasons. We know that California is the most expensive state to live in. Real estate has gone up. You've got gentrification coming into neighborhoods that Black people were living in, where the rents were very cheap and where everything was kind of low. Socially, economics were poor, and these were neighborhoods that, for the most part, white people and other people felt were undesirable. So they had no desire to live there. Then comes in redevelopment, or what we used to call back in the day as Negro removal. So redevelopment comes in, banks come in, they have master plans that they put in place for years saying how they want to transform a neighborhood. So you get the Starbucks that comes in, you get the movie theaters, you get all these different luxuries of life, but it's not being necessarily a neighborhood that's being shifted and shaped for the current residents. It's these things are being put in place for a new residents to move in and to get the Negroes or the people that they feel are undesirable out. Am I about right with that sort of philosophy? Is that what you see is happening in Los Angeles right now?
Yeah, and not only that, but it's also coupled with the fact that, and this is a painful reality, but we just don't unify. We don't stick together until it's too late, and before you know it, all these other groups, as you say, they come in. I mean, you look at, if you go down Crenshaw Boulevard, you can see the changes starting to happen. They're putting the rail line right through there. It's going to go all the way to Inglewood, where they're building a new stadium. Mm-hmm. And you know what's going to happen next. Many of the blacks out there, like South Central, I would say it's about 50% African American and 50%, or maybe not 50%, but the Hispanics are really catching up. Okay. It's mostly Hispanic. A lot of Hispanic surnames and businesses are out there now. And I don't have anything against Hispanics, but one thing that they're doing is they are taking over a lot of historically black neighborhoods. Mm-hmm. And for one thing, they do stick together. I mean, they may not necessarily individually like each other, but when it comes to something, they have a strong political power. They have they just have that. Not to mention they have a language too that they have in common.
Right. You know, what I see it as, because of working in the prison system, I get detailed information.
Thank you for the super chat.
At what we call the Mexican Mafia, and
thank you for the super chat.
Sentiment that California belongs to the Mexicans because of what happened years and years ago when I think the Spaniards came in, and then they see it as California really belongs to Mexico, just like Texas, and they feel that it was taken away from them. So what you have is sort of this tribal thing going on where people from across the border, the Mexican Mafia, their thing is, we're taking California back. It was originally ours. And so the Mexican Mafia has had a green light in terms of taking over territory for the drug trade that they believe belongs to them. So the goal is wherever black people live, eliminate black people, get them out of the neighborhoods at any cost. And I did a video about this some time back where they were talking about how black people who lived in certain neighborhoods in Los Angeles, California, were getting firebombed, meaning they were throwing multi-cocktails through the windows in some of the project areas because this is being done by Latin gangs or Mexican gang members because they wanted to drive black people out of these neighborhoods to recapture or take over the neighborhood and as well push the drugs. And black people have been getting killed. I think that was the case. You probably remember this. There was a young man, I think he was walking home from football practice or something like that. He wasn't a gang. Yeah, he wasn't a gangbanger, and he got killed by one of these kids. I guess it was an initiation for them. So I don't want to cause any type of strife here, but in Los Angeles, I don't think that there is no black and brown coalition. You hear a lot of black leaders when they talk about our issues, they're always using these terms like people of color, diversity, and black and brown. And I have a problem with that because when you say people of color, then that includes all people. And the fact of the matter, not all people are catching the kind of hell when it comes to police, when it comes to the gang structure in Los Angeles that is impacting black people. No. So you can't say, so Koreans and other groups of people, they're not catching the kind of hell that we're catching. So that's why I don't like that term. And I think it's a serious problem, but nobody's talking about it. That's also impacting black people. And I wanted to say that, Aaron, because I think it's just very important, brother. But this, I got to ask you this question. Now, I heard that because Black people are being gentrified and they're being forced out of these neighborhoods that they once lived in because the price of living, the price of renting homes and all that stuff is going up. You've got Black people moving further and further out of the Los Angeles area. They're going into places like Riverside, California. Is that true or false?
Yes, a lot of Blacks are moving out into either the Inland Empire or the Palmdale area. That's where a lot of them. Many Blacks have gone to Moreno Valley as well.
Wow.
And so you pretty much hit the nail right on the head. And
the truth.
They're being offered money and stuff like that.
Wow. What about, we got Snoop Dogg, who always talks about being from the LBC, Long Beach. What about Long Beach? What's happening? Do you know, are you familiar or have any information on what's happening with Black folks in Long Beach? Because these same gang factions they're spreading out throughout all that Los Angeles area and impacting Black people. Is there anything in Long Beach where Black people are also being gentrified, impacted by these shifts in economics and all this other structure that's going on? Do you hear anything about that?
I know the Mexican mafia have foot soldiers called Sureños, and Sureños are pretty much all over Southern California. Sureño is basically Spanish word for Southsiders, and they pretty much have all of Southern California right now, and particularly Long Beach. So one thing, and I know you know this for a fact, being someone that works in the penal system, but the Mexican mafia even has a loose alliance with the Aryan Brotherhood.
Right. The way it works is the Southerners, they align themselves with the Aryan Brotherhood because they both have the same enemy, which is the Black gangs and the Northerners. So the Northerners don't like the Southerners. Of course, the Aryan Brotherhood don't like the Black gangs. You have the Black guerrilla family. So the Northerners will align themselves with the Black gangs in order to fight against the Southerners. The Southerners align themselves with the white gang, Aryan Brotherhood, because they have a common enemy in the Blacks. So it's a structure, and these particular prison gangs control a lot of what's happening outside in these communities. So these are things that really concern me, Brother Aaron Collins, and how it impacts Black people on the ground level in Los Angeles. Now, do you know of any organizations in Los Angeles, activists who are beating the drum as it relates to these problems in Los Angeles around the homelessness and what's happening to Black people on a negative level?
Well, as far as the homelessness, it's what was that? You said something about.
What I was saying is, are you familiar, like what's happening on the ground in terms of, are there any organizations or is there anybody really beating the drum as it relates to homelessness with Black people in Los Angeles, or as it relates to Black people being impacted by the gang structures that are hurting us, being moved out of these communities because of gentrification? Are there any organizations, any activists on ground that are beating the drum about any of this stuff, or is it just happening and nobody gives a damn?
The only organization I can think of, and I've actually worked with them before, is a group called LA Can.
Okay.
Which is, LA Can, and because actually they still call me. They have what's called rock meetings, and they actually have them in Skid Row. But they talk about different initiatives that's going on as far as what Garcetti's doing, the mayor of LA, and I've actually been on the ground with them before too.
Okay.
When things have happened, like the first time I went with them was when the incident, the homeless man was pulled out of his tent and was actually killed by the LAPD.
Wow.
And this was back in 2014, 2015. So yeah, So that's the only organization I can think of. There may be others, but that one in particular, I can actually vouch for. It's called LA Can.
LA Can.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Let me ask you this. You've got Magic Johnson, who's an entrepreneur. He's certainly made a great name for himself even after playing basketball. He was very proud of the Magic theaters that he was opening up in some of the areas, black areas of Los Angeles. I think he was proud of the Starbucks. I think he has interest or ownership in Starbucks, if I'm not mistaken. He's got ownership in the Dodgers, and now he's got involvement with the new soccer team in LA. Is there anything that Magic Johnson may be doing that we don't know about, or I don't know about because I'm not in Los Angeles, where he's putting money into helping the homeless problem in Los Angeles? Have you heard of him bringing any information to this concern? I know he's a businessman. He's building things. He's opening up things, and that's a good thing. But how are black people benefiting from this? Or I know that his theaters bring jobs, but they are minimum wage jobs. What are your thoughts?
To be honest with you, I don't really see too many of these black celebrities doing really anything for the black community in LA, because and that's not to throw shade at them, because I work in the entertainment industry myself, but I don't really see them on a large scale doing anything for the black community to try to help build it up, or try to. And it's not just about giving people jobs. I mean, about teaching people to be in business for themselves. Like everyone, like a lot of these other groups teach their youth and teach their people to not work a job, but how to own a business.
Right.
And that's something we don't do. But as far as the celebrities with all their mass wealth, they could have rebuilt the black community maybe 100 times over by now.
Okay. Let me ask you this question. What is it about the black celebrities in Los Angeles that they don't really, from what you're seeing, they're not doing anything? What is it? I mean, you got Kevin Hart. That man sleeps on money, all the projects that he's involved in. You've got a whole slew of black folks. This is what's crazy, Aaron. A lot of these black actors, they owe some of their fortune and their benefits that they get because black people are going to the movies to support their damn movies. You can't tell me it ain't just white folks and other folks that are supporting these actors. A lot of these black actors wouldn't be on the map if it wasn't for black folks putting them on first, when some of them were playing in movies that were just mainly a black audience was supporting. And then they blew up, So what is it about these black celebrities out there that they don't, from your vantage point, don't appear? Let me say some of them, because I can't indict, certainly can't indict all of them, because we don't know all the details of what they do behind the closed doors. And I'm sure there's some that do things they do stuff unpublicized. But from your vantage point down in Los Angeles, what is it about these black celebrities that they don't appear like they give a damn?
Well, a lot of times they don't want to upset the bottom line, upset their maybe I should say upset their money, which comes from a lot of these white-owned studios. They don't want to rattle the cage, so to speak, and they don't want to stop.
Okay, Aaron, I think there's some problem with your phone connection. Hang on, folks out there listening. Let me see if we can get Aaron back up on the lines here. Aaron, are you there?
Yeah, I'm still here. Can you hear me now?
Okay, that's better. Yes, I can hear you now. Go ahead, brother. Continue what you were saying.
Yeah, I was saying that a lot of these black celebrities, they don't want to upset their upset their I don't want to say the word employers, but really that's what they all are, is a high powered employee. But they don't want to upset their money. They don't want to stop whatever they think they have invested from coming in. So they don't want to rattle that cage.
Yeah, quite naturally, when people have a lifestyle that they've become accustomed to, and this is just human nature. You want to protect your interests and you want to continue making movies, whatever the kind of work that you do. It is a difficult because at the end of the day, everybody wants to take care of themselves and everyone wants to live the high life. I can understand why they do what they do. Doesn't mean I agree with it. I really don't, because a lot of Black people, we spend money on popcorn and candy and sodas. We sit in the theaters and we buy the damn tickets. We go to their concerts. We buy the merchandise. We're putting a hell of a lot of money. And I know we are, because Black people are the biggest consumers in this country. I think we're at what is it? I think we're at $4 trillion or whatever we spend.
Yeah, that sounds about right. About $1 billion to $1 trillion spending power.
So Black people, we spend a hell of a lot of money in these sports, entertainment, all these things that we really shouldn't spend money on, to be quite honest. We should leave it all alone and turn our backs on it. But at the same time, that's what we do. And so therefore, I think that they do owe. I mean, there are some people that would say, "Oh, they don't owe Black folks nothing because they worked hard." Well, they wouldn't be where they are if we weren't the ones supporting their movies, their music, everything that they are. I mean, let's just keep it 100% real. When the Jackson 5s came out, white folks didn't know nothing about no damn Jackson 5s. They didn't support them. It was Black folks that put the Jackson 5s on the map for them to be able to get where they are today, or for example, or to get where Michael Jackson would have never been the star that he became. All right, if it had not been for Black people in the 70s, 60s, putting him and his brothers on the damn map to be able to get to where he eventually took his career. Now that's a damn fact. And so when you've got homelessness in the Los Angeles area, and you've got Black men being impacted by this the most out there, and you've got gentrification where Black folks are being moved out of their living areas, I think these celebrities owe it to speak out, because Black people are taking their money, which they really need to keep in their own pockets, and they're giving it to them by showing their support economically when supporting the things that they do in their art. Now, that's, to me, is a no-brainer. What do you think, real Aaron Collins?
Yeah, it sounds about right. We pretty much finance and pay people's mortgages and stuff. we are literally the engine of the car, so to speak. But yet we can't seem to do anything for our own community. It's all programming, brainwashing. I mean, it's like we have literally been trained to take care of everyone else but neglect ourselves. I mean, it all goes back to like when we used to take care of them and their babies. And
right.
And that's that same formula is still happening today.
Let me ask you this question too.
And don't get me wrong. I mean, I love going to movies and stuff too. I mean, I go to movies and stuff like that. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, but
no, there's nothing wrong with it. But I think when we're catching hell, we gotta, and we're supporting these particular actors and institution of entertainment. I mean, I think they do owe something to the community in these circumstances. But let me ask you this question too, Aaron, because you're on ground level. I must ask you, brother, what is the talk when we talk about ADOS and this whole movement? What is the unification of Black people in Los Angeles? Are Black people coming together down there? Are they unifying? Are they saying enough is enough? I know that it appears that the gang situation between the Bloods and the Crips, that the Crips and the Bloods have given an oath of consolidarity, meaning they're working together now. They're not fighting at each other. I mean, what are you seeing? Are they Bloods and Crips? Are they working together? Are they not? The gang banging between the Bloods and the Crips have sort of, it's not what it was before in the past. What are you seeing, if I'm right or wrong?
So from what I'm understanding, that in the 90s, and this is long before I got here, that it was really bad.
Very bad. I remember it was very bad, brother. From the 80s into the 90s, it was real bad.
Yeah. As far as what's going on right now, I mean, they're not as, I mean, they're still active, but they're not as doing what they do. I mean, they still doing what they do.
Mm-hmm.
But it's pretty much like all about money now.
Okay.
As far as they're concerned, but don't get it twisted. They still do what they do out here. I don't put it past them. I mean, they still do. They do. The colors are still what they are. But the last thing I saw when they did come together, and it's something that actually made me really proud, was after Nipsey got killed, when I think a cat named Big U, I think, who was Nipsey's manager,
right,
when he called for them all to come together for peace protocol. And not it wasn't just the Bloods and Crips. I think even some of the Serranios even came on board too, because a lot of them love Nip.
Right, there was a lot of Nipsey Hussle. He got a lot of respect, and talking about Nipsey Hussle, brother, I still believe that the guy who took his life, I still think there was something fishy about those circumstances, and we may never really know the truth, because there's always people out there who don't want you to know the truth. And we got to also keep this in mind too. If you look at history, whenever you've had black men who were really making an impact in their communities, really shifting and moving the narrative to a different level, those kind of men become a threat to the system. And so what they do, and people always think that the enemy is going to directly kill us. That's not how it works. They use someone who looks like us to destroy us, so that they can hide behind the big giant rock that they're throwing out the pebbles. If you look at the history of how black people have been impacted in this society, when we're really moving and doing something, they send agents or people who look like us to destroy us. When you look at the ADOS movement, this whole situation that's going on, believe me, there are going to be agents, there are going to be people, provocateurs, who are going to try to stop the ADOS movement, and they're going to try to discredit it.
Yeah, you do have a bunch of co-opted Negroes running around.
And the reason why that happens is because we've been culturally conditioned not to trust one another. And I think this is even in the Bible. When you're a religious brother, jealous and envy. If you look throughout the Bible, you know this, brother. There's stories in the Bible where you had a brother kill brother, right? There's always this issue around jealousy and envy, and that ain't nothing but Satan. So if you notice, when black people are really moving in a certain direction, there's always someone out there who's going to have a jealousy and an envy of what's going on. And those kind of people can be easily molded to disrupt a movement, because it's all about them. Me. It's the individual versus the collective. And when I was interviewing a brother by the name of Screen Learning, he had different opinions about the whole collective versus the individual. He feels that as an individual, you're responsible for yourself. But he was saying that sometimes collectivism doesn't work because it requires people to sacrifice themselves. And because people are selfish and jealous and envy, it's hard for them to sacrifice themselves for the good of the group. Because most people, you know how it works. It's always about, what do I get out of it? And that's the mentality that we have. And that comes from growing up in this American society that teaches you to be an individual, where your question is always, but what do I get out of it? We operate out of that kind of mentality. And that's probably why you don't see a lot of brothers and sisters getting help in the homeless population in LA, because most people are going to wonder, well, what do I get out of it for helping these homeless people who are probably homeless because they don't want to work? They're bums, they're this and that. People walk around with those type of mentalities, I'm sure. What are your thoughts, Aaron Collins?
Yeah, some of us have that. I got to get my mentality. And to the second part of that question, so this is a perfect example. This is what happened to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I didn't have issues with drugs and alcohol. I was actually an able-bodied person, and I did work.
Yes.
The thing is with me though is that I fell on bad times, and I signed up on something called I believe it's called the CES.
Right.
System, the coordinated entry system.
Right.
I signed up on that 3 times. Now, what they were supposed to do, they were supposed to get you so-called housing, right? And it never happened. And I was wondering why. It took somebody at one of the shelters to explain that I was living there, to explain to me that with somebody like me, they see me as somebody, that's halfway got his mind and stuff like that, and helping up. And while I look at that as a compliment that they see me that way, at the same time, I still needed a little bit of help. Right. They say that these systems were designed for the people that's really down and out homeless. A lot of people that you see that are just really, completely gone. But then a lot of times, they're the ones who are not in a right mind state to realize what's going on. But yet these programs are designed for them.
Right.
Which is kind of like, it defeats the purpose in a way to me of even having it.
Right. Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to the Information Man Speaks podcast here live with the real Aaron Collins. We've been talking about the issues of Black homelessness in Los Angeles. It's a crisis situation. We've also spinned over into talking about some of the gang issues in Los Angeles, what we would call gentrification issues, a variety of things that we've been talking about. Real Aaron Collins is a man who works in film. He's originally from Chicago, and like he said, he fell on hard times, and he was once homeless himself. And the truth of the matter is, everybody out there, we're all one paycheck away from homelessness. If you don't watch yourself, you don't know what's going to happen with the economy. We got that guy in the White House, and you don't know what he's going to do from one day or another, You
talking about the orange dude? Yeah, I know him.
Right. We don't know what that guy's going to do from one day or another. But once again, this is the Information Man podcast.
You are listening to Information Man podcast.
So, wow. I like some of the things that you said, Aaron. This is really good. Aaron, can you got any projects that are coming up? Anything great on the horizon? Anything that you're involved with right now that you want to let people be aware of, or projects that you have been involved in the past? Go right ahead, brother, and let people know. Yeah.
So I'm actually a part of this organization called MTS. I'm standing for Modern Trend Society. And what they have once or twice a month, something called Make a Film in a Day. And bottom line, what they do, they teach different aspects of filmmaking. I've been a producer on a lot of small films that we shot there. If you look at them, they look kind of amateurish, but it's something though that's helping me to exercise what it is I want to do. But as far as doing my own thing, I've gone back to writing more, and I really need to even take more of an aggressive approach as far as getting my stuff out. So I've been actually doing that, because you know what? One thing about me, I've been told this before, I am a networking machine, and that's good. And I can go to these different events and network, but now it's time for me to let something come out of these networks and
thank you for the super chat
relationships. And I fault myself for that. I'm not beating myself up, but I really need to
thank you for the super chat
more to do what it is I came out here to do.
Well, Aaron, I think you have the ability to do it, brother. You just gotta get the mindset. You got the right mindset. Just just push. If you really want to make things happen, you got to go get it. Nothing's going to drop in your lap. And another reason why you should be out there and going to these different shows and different network, you should do all the networking you can, because the networking, you never know where it's going to lead. I know you've done that. You just got to keep pushing, brother, and keep pushing. Let's keep this in mind. Samuel Jackson, I'm going to use him as an example. He's a big star right now, right? Remember, he did not get his big break until way into his age. I mean, the brother, I think, was in theater with his wife, and it wasn't until later in his age that that role that he had in Jungle Fever, well, unfortunately, he had to play a crackhead. But it wasn't until later, a little bit later in his career, in his life, that he actually really took off. So to me, it's not where you start, it's how you end. And everything that you do now can build for tomorrow. So I think, Aaron, just keep doing what you're doing, brother. You've come from the hard side of the mountain, being at a point where you were in a homeless situation. I know myself as a child, when my mother came to California, she fell on some hard times too. We were damn near close to homelessness as well. So I kind of understand your plight to that level to a certain degree. You just need to keep doing what you're doing, brother. I'm glad to be able to talk to you about this issue. But Los Angeles is an interesting place. It's very spread out, very expensive place to live. I'm going to ask you this honest question too. What do you think, and then be honest, what do you think is the future of Black people in Los Angeles? Because I've heard people like Jason Black of the Black Channel and various other personalities on YouTube say that Black people are pretty much done in California. It's a done deal for us. Stick a fork in it. What is your thoughts?
I've heard that before. I like to, I like to be optimistic. I believe there is some hope for us, but I believe if we could find a way to come together, I believe we can make it. I really do. I mean, I know it looks bleak for us right now, but I'm just not ready to give up on us just yet.
Right. Information is power, folks.
Information is power.
But I have heard people say that, we a done deal here and stuff like that. I mean,
well, see, I'm gonna be honest with you. I hear people say that. I've heard people say that, and I don't subscribe to it. And this is the reason why. Because if you look at the history of African American people, we are survivors. We have survived from slavery, Reconstruction, Jim Crow, sharecropping. They used to lease out Black men when they were in prison camps. They would lease us out. So Black people, we are survivors. We are adapters. We simply will adapt. See, this is the thing, Aaron, and you can relate to what I'm saying. Everybody, you should be able to relate to what I'm saying. Black people, when you grow up poor and you don't have nothing, you came from nothing. When you hit hard times, you can adapt to it. For example, when you see other groups of people, let's say, I just got to keep it real. When you look at people that are rich and wealthy, whether they're white, other races or other, and they had money all their life, and when they lose that money, they go buck wild. They jump out of the window. I think there was a couple of guys on Wall Street that jumped out of the window when they lost money. So because you know why? They don't know what it's like not to have money and be poor. So they can't imagine it and they can't handle it. Black folks that have come from the hard side of the mountain, when we don't have nothing, we didn't have anything. So we know how to adapt with having less. Doesn't make it right. Doesn't make it right that we have to be in those conditions, but we certainly have survival mechanisms. That's why I don't think that we're necessarily a done deal in California. I think we're going to have to adapt and figure out ways to deal with the living circumstances. I know for one thing, when you look at other groups that come to this country, they'll live together in a house and help each other out. I think Black people need to have more unity like that. I don't know what it's going to take because some of us are all over the place with our ideology. You know, we can't agree on certain things. But what are your thoughts, Aaron Collins, as we come to a conclusion, brother?
I agree because it's embedded in our DNA. I mean, even during slavery, when they fed us, we took the worst of whatever they gave us, and we turned it into something. I mean, even like even when that's the one thing about us. We always have a habit of taking something old and making it new again.
Right.
And it's part of survival instinct. I mean, I think back during when was it that Bumpy Johnson was alive? He was. They had what was known as the bartering system.
Right.
And the bartering system. Well, maybe that was that was the numbers again. The numbers racket. The numbers racket was basically a person ran a number the whole family could eat for probably about a month or something like that. And that was like the black folks lottery. So we find a way out of something. I mean,
right. The numbers game is look, the lottery, the California lottery, the Super Bowl, whatever they call it, the lottery in the back east. That was stolen. That was a stolen concept that came from African and black people. Black people were the ones that came up with a lottery. Isn't it? Don't you find it interesting, Aaron, that when we come up with something that benefits us, it's illegal. They want to call it illegal. It ain't right. And then when they create it for themselves, then it's legal. Just like when you had when the NBA lowered the age to 18 or 17 or whatever it was to play professional basketball. You had a lot of young black males coming out of high school, getting paid. And then all of a sudden, everybody had a problem with it because young black males were getting all that money, right? But isn't it funny how nobody has a problem with white kids or other groups of kids who are making money at 16 and 17 years old playing tennis and baseball? Hell, in baseball, they can recruit you in high school when you're 16, 17 years old. And then when you turn 18, they can put you on a farm system. So, but when it comes to black kids playing predominantly sports that have a lot of blacks, now there's a problem. Now you got to have an age limit on it. Doesn't make any sense. Even in hockey, is a much physical sport than basketball. In hockey, you can get recruited at 16 and 17 years old, and nobody has a problem with young white kids who play hockey making thousands and millions of dollars. Go figure, real Aaron Collins. Go figure.
Yeah, it's always been a double standard when it comes to us. It's always been a double standard, and it still is.
Right.
It's also a form of jealousy too. It's like you can't believe the Negroes are doing it. Right. We should be doing that. It's like even during when the Black Panthers were around. The reason why they became an internal threat to the security of the nation, it wasn't the fact that they carried guns. It wasn't the fact that they were yelling black power. Mm-hmm. It was the program. It was the programs that they had in place for the people. See, they captured the hearts and minds of the people, and not to mention they made an embarrassment of this nation because the world saw that. The world saw that. Oh wow, this is how the U.S. government treats its own citizens. But look at these people here. I mean, it was because of the free breakfast program that Huey and Bobby started. Right. That you had these WIC programs and these different programs out today. The Panthers started that.
Right, they did. You were absolutely right, my brother. Well, Aaron, let me just say this to you, brother. Thank you for coming on with me. I know it was kind of late notice, but I had sent you an email originally, but I don't know if you had gotten that email. I sent that email weeks ago, but you know how email is. It can get lost in the system. I'm glad that I was able to catch you on the Instagram and we started talking and you were able to come on with me this night and we could talk about this issue. I want to say peace and love to everybody out there who will be looking.
Man.
Thank you, brother. I want to say peace to everybody out there that will be listening to this on the podcast. Thank you for listening. Those of you that are listening, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Castbox, Spotify, Anchor. Thank you. Those of you that are out there that are listening, make sure you tell other people about the podcast. Those of you that will be watching this on, hopefully the YouTube video came out right. I got to double check that and see if it's all good. But if it is all good, everybody listening out there or looking at the video and listening, thank you. Aaron, as I said again, brother, we'll have to probably reduplicate this conversation and do this again for the first channel, because I think in retrospect, I probably should have went live with you. Probably not at this time of the night, but at a time that would be decent. But we're going to do it again. I'll be in contact with you, brother. Appreciate you being here again. That is the real Aaron Collins, everybody. You got to check him out. Brother was telling the truth here, brother. Any last words, Aaron?
You know, like I was saying, I appreciate coming on. Boy, gentlemen, it's been a while since we collaborated, so you know, this is kind of like a reunion of sorts.
Yeah, and like I told you, I just found an audio, a 30-minute audio that we did before, and so I think that was around this similar issue. So I'm gonna look at that audio, and I'm probably gonna do something with that as well. But I appreciate you being here, Aaron. I'll be back in contact with you. I do want to bring you on for some other podcasts and other situations that come up. Oh, let me get your opinion on this. I did a video on the second channel about the Ronald Reed situation with Lion's Den, and Lion's Den is very adamant that the brother is innocent of the crime. And I took a more neutral approach because the brother does have
Information is power.
All right, everybody. I'm back on. I hope that you enjoyed that presentation. You might have noticed that during the video, I kind of was moving kind of robotic. I was kind of moving a little robotic. That's because I did that video on my second channel, Information Man Speaks Podcast. And I basically piped it into the share screen from the other channel to put it over here. And as you heard me say earlier to Aaron on there, that I should have probably did that broadcast live in effect when we did it some time back. But either way, the most important thing is that everybody could hear the sound, even though I was moving robotic a little bit on there, and you don't see me moving as robotic on here. And I want to appreciate everybody who's coming to the chat room. We've got Kujin 87, Youngster, Queen I Know I Am, Black Bruce Wayne, Brother Doug, Brother Duvian, who's coming. Let's see, who else? I got to give a Filthy Franks. I don't know what was going on in the chat room. I think there was some difference of opinion with Xander and 50 Franks, but I hope you guys can work out whatever the differences are, because, you know, I don't have the type of channel where I keep up a lot of drama. I want black people to work together when we have differences, work together, don't work against each other. I know people can misunderstand each other sometimes. That's one of the problems with these social medias. We don't always, we can misunderstand where we're coming from. We got Citizen Man that's in the house. Got to get him up here for interview. Kujin 87, still got to get you up here. And let me give a very special respect and love to Sister the Bee Lady. Let me give her a clap for coming in and blessing us with her presence. Yeah. And all of you for coming in and listening to the program. And make sure you do this.
You are listening to Information Man. Please make sure to subscribe to his channel.
I would definitely appreciate it if you would subscribe and let other people know about the program. Do me a favor and share this video. I think it was very important. Let me say peace and love to the folks out there in Periscope that have been listening to me, people that's been coming in and out of that chat room there. Those of you that are listening to me in the Periscope world, thank you. I will be providing content over in Periscope that will be exclusive for Periscope. So if you guys have Periscope, I'll be dropping exclusive material over there. But any material that I have over there, you'll be able to see it live on Twitter. My Twitter handle, by the way, is @Clinton06. And I'm on live right now. I'm on Twitter live, broadcasting through Periscope on live, as well as on YouTube, of course, which has been my mainstay. I really appreciate. I hope you all like the screen picture. Tell me if y'all like that special effect. I love it. So I am going to be bringing a lot of presentations to you all and interviews. Just so you guys know, let me give you a heads up. I made contact with brother Jay King. Jay King has a program on a Periscope. And who is Jay King? Jay King was one of the main singers in the group Club Nouveau. He's in a radio station in the Sacramento area. He plays old school R&B. He's got a radio station in Sacramento, California. I made contact with him on Periscope, going into one of his chats where he was broadcasting from home, but he has a station that he's at promoting R&B songs, and I think, believe it or not, he's managing what's the brother Morris Blackman, the brother that used to sing the song "Word Up" back in the 80s, and so he's managing groups, promoting programs in the Sacramento and all across the country. And he told me he would love to come on the show and have an interview with me. So I'm going to, at some point, bring brother Jay King on from the group Club Nouveau. And I think they do still perform, old school R&B performances. I'm going to try to get him on, interview him about some of the things. This brother is very community active. I mean, he's putting on programs, working with the youth in the community, sponsoring concerts that have youth in mind. And so I'm very excited. As soon as I can make direct contact with him, he left me his contact information to bring brother Jay King to my YouTube channel for you all to enjoy hearing that brother break it down. He's very socially conscious. A lot of times you see people on television and singing and doing entertainment. You don't know how socially conscious they are. That brother's socially conscious. And he says, when I was in his chat room, that this country does owe black people a debt. He says a debt, not something that we need to beg for, but a debt because of the things that they have done to black people historically. And I enjoyed chatting with that brother. And I enjoyed all of you all in the chat room right now that are listening on YouTube and Twitter Live and Periscope. Make sure whoever you are that you share the video. I will be back on with more presentation. How many of you all, I was going to do this live video too. This happened in 2016, but the family of Nat Turner of the 18, if I'm not mistaken, 31 slave rebellion, they received what they believe is the remains of Nat Turner, which is his skull. And they did horrible things to his body, dismemberment. I'm going to do a live stream or a video. Either I'll live stream it or I'll pre-produce it as it relates to the return of, matter of fact, I could probably show you a picture of this right now. I wasn't planning to do this, but let me show you a picture of the skull of Nat Turner. Now you can see that's the skull that they have returned to the family. And I'm going to read an article. I'm going to probably do a live stream about this. And I don't know how many of you have forgotten about this, but the family was given the remains. They did terrible things to brother Nat Turner. They dismembered his body, peeled his skin, used parts of his body as souvenirs. I don't want to go into all the details. I'm going to do a live stream about this and present this to the YouTube family, the Twitter family, the Periscope family, all folks out there listening to this broadcast right now. And I thank you once again, everybody for being here. That you a Prophet of Thought series. What's going on, brother? I will you'll probably see me over in your neck of the woods this week on Wednesday and Thursday. And I want to get you back on for a follow-up interview, but maybe not so much an interview, but so much a black male talk. I want to get brothers like Coogin 87, brothers, even like a brother Doug who's in the chat room, and brother Prophet of Thought, and brother BMT and Gab, and have some black male conversation. I want to try to get that going. We got the holidays coming up. I know people are going to be with their family. I'm not a big Christmas person, but I think I will broadcast live on Christmas Day or evening, and maybe I can get some brothers on with me, or maybe the following week. We're getting ready to go into 2020, and we've got to reflect on where we want to go as a people, what you want to do in your own personal life. And as it relates to YouTube, can we afford to continue doing the things that we've been doing now in 2019, going into 2020 in terms of negative content? I don't believe we need to keep pushing negative content. We need to keep promoting the best of us, the best of our women, as black women, the best of black men, the best of our youth, the best that we have to offer. And that is the truth.
Tell the truth.
I will let you know. So I'll probably send out some emails or just connect with brothers and try to get a group of brothers on my platform and have some male talk. And it ain't going to be just about bashing people, but we need to talk about how self-improvement, where we want to go going into the future. We getting ready to go into 2020, and we're going to have a more powerful outlook and see what we can do to get to solutions and improving oneself. Now, I think challenge yourself wherever you live in the world. Everybody in that chat room, everybody listening in Twitter and Periscope, challenge yourself this year and ask yourself, what can I do as an individual to make my community better? If you can't physically get out and change things, maybe you can promote or support a organization. And I'm particularly speaking to black men here. Do what you can. Your first responsibility, as Brother Prophet of Thought would agree with me, is to take care of your family, black man. If you're going through child support issues and drama, figure out a way that you can fight through that to be in the life of your daughter or your son. Our children need us in our life. If you are a sister out there, you got a son or a daughter, and you're either using child support or using something to keep the man from the child, don't do that. Your child needs their father. If the man is trying to be in the child's life, I'm speaking about. If you've got a man that wants to be in the child's life, but you want to put him behind bars, guess what? If he's behind bars, he can't get a job. He can't give you any child support. So we got to think about our own attitudes that hold us back from self-improvement, from improving our communities, from getting us to where we need to be. You are your biggest enemy. Fear is the biggest thing that holds one back. Your fear. And that fear starts with you when you look at yourself in the mirror. I want to say peace to everybody who's come in the chat room. Thank you, Queen. I know I am. And AJ, thank you for coming in. If you're new here and you have not subscribed to the channel, get your button, subscribe to the channel. If you got friends and family, why not tell them about the show? Because black people, we're all that we got. If we don't support each other, who in the hell will? Make sure that if you are a content creator, that you support each other's channels. Even if you're not a content creator, go ahead and hit people's avatars and subscribe to their channel. Check out Prophet of Thought series. Check out whatever you got to check out a Cool Gent 87 or a guy from Texas. If they got whatever they got on their pages, even if it's one damn video, subscribe to them. So folks, I'll be back on. If not tomorrow, I'll try to do something Christmas Eve. Maybe Christmas Eve will be the best time to do the show if I can get some brothers on. I'll try. It may be difficult because, you know, we got a lot of folks that be into this Santa Claus stuff. Ho, 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 and shit like that. There's Xander. What's going on? It's not my fault. It's the easy for him to understand text. Okay. Text messaging can be understandable at times, Brother Alexander, but it's okay. Brother Black Bruce Wayne, I got to get you on my show too, brother. And if Money Boy Films is out there listening, I'm going to get you too. Everybody, thank you. Let's party. Woo.
Tell the truth.
Information is power.
Yeah. Information man. Peace to everybody out there. I love you. Peace to everybody listening in Twitter and Periscope. Thank you for your support. Make sure you share the video. Share the video. Yes.
Tell the truth.
You are listening to Information Man. Please make sure to subscribe to his channel.
That's right. Take care, everybody. Yeah.
Tell the truth.
Tell the truth, tell the truth, tell the truth. When you're listening to the Information Man show, you're going to get truth, folks. Truth. Pure truth. Yes.
Tell the truth.
Information is power.
Truth. Information Man is power. Power.
Information is power. Information is power.